Hello guys, welcome to Captain Dorja's Armory. This is Captain Dorja. If you made it through my ridiculous garage tour thingy, and you're back from war, then you're my hero. If you didn't, oh well, I'm not going to repeat myself too much. Yeah, so guys, World of Warships, been playing it a lot. I've been focusing the US Navy a lot. I've been playing with my buddy Blackjack Pershing, aka John. If you were here for any of my World of Tanks or War Thunder, you know that I played War Thunder and World of Tanks with Blackjack quite a lot. In War Thunder, we used to play freaking PBJs and just ruin everything. And in World of Tanks, M18 Hellcats for the win. Like, that was an epic combo. Blackjack was a really good Hellcat player. For somebody who didn't play World of Tanks very long, he learned the Hellcat quick, and he learned it well. Thing was freaking M18 Hellcats. Anyway, though, we're not playing World of Tanks. We're playing World of Warships. And this is the Tier 6 American cruiser, the Farragut class. And I'm going to, if I can, I'm going to take the camo off it for this, because you can't see it in the garage as good with the camo on. So, guys, this is the Farragut. This is the Tier 6 destroyer for the U.S. Navy. And I'll come right out and say it right now. I do not really like the Farragut that much. And we will definitely talk about why. And we'll compare to the Tier 5 Japanese destroyer, the Minakaze, because I have the Minakaze in my garage, in my port, like whatever. Maybe we'll even compare a little bit to the Gremyashki. It's not a unfair comparison to make. The Minakaze's camo doesn't ruin my ability to actually look at it, so we're going to leave it on. But anyway, this is the Farragut, and this is kind of the, a really stereotypical American destroyer. And what I mean by that is the American destroyers differ largely from the Japanese destroyers in this game in their torpedoes. Historically, Japan had way better torpedoes than the United States Navy. They had longer range, they hit harder, and most importantly, they actually worked. The American torpedoes in World War II were horrible. They had short range, small payloads, and they had a nasty propensity to not actually explode, which is, for basically a floating bomb, when it doesn't explode, that's pretty terrible. Stand by for sips of coffee. Anyway, yeah, the Farragut. So, we're going to take a look at this ship's stats, and then we're going to put her into action. And this was a really fun battle that I had in the Farragut, and that in and of itself is fairly rare. HP-wise, the Farragut doesn't have much health. It's got 11,500. That's pretty standard for a destroyer. No destroyer in World of Warships has that much health. They start at Tier 2 with maybe around 8,000, and at Tier 10 they've got like maybe 17,000. None of the destroyers have much health. And just to realize how little health that is, my Tier 6 light cruiser, the Cleveland, 35,200 health. My New Mexico class battleship, still Tier 6, 53,200. Even my carrier, 35,300. My carrier actually has more health than my light cruiser by 100, which is pretty much none. But so yeah, hit points wise, 11,500. But destroyers don't have a lot of health, and a lot of the time they don't need a lot of health. So the Farragut's pretty low on HP. On guns, though, she's alright. The Farragut is armed with 4 127mm 38 caliber Mark 21 guns. Now, I don't really know the significance of which mark they are, but I know this. 127mm, that's a 5-inch gun. 38 calibers, that's the length of the barrel. The 5-inch 38 in the United States Navy was ubiquitous. It was everywhere. The 5-inch 38 armed literally all of our destroyers that I know of that we used in World War II. The 5-inch 38 was a main component in the anti-aircraft batteries of almost every ship in the Navy in World War II. It was a dual-purpose, anti-surface, anti-aircraft gun, and it was very, very effective. So you have 4 of those for your main battery on this ship. Now they have a range of 12.6 kilometers on this ship, which is pretty good for a destroyer. Some other important stats of these guns is the rotation speed is pretty high. The guns can turn 180 degrees in 12 seconds. That's one of the perks of the American destroyers. Their guns turn very fast. The Japanese destroyers, their guns turn a lot slower. Depending on what tier you're in, it can be as bad as 45 seconds. So basically, with American destroyers, gunfighting is A-OK. Maximum shell dispersion, 109 meters, that's not too bad. Your HE shells can do a maximum of 1,800 damage and have a 5% chance to set targets on fire. Your AP shells can do up to 2,100 damage. But the thing is, with destroyers, you pretty much fire high explosive ammo all the time because the armor-piercing shells don't have the penetration. They don't have the penetration to really penetrate the armor on anything except another destroyer. And if you shoot armor-piercing ammo at a destroyer, it'll actually over-penetrate, like in War Thunder tanks. You shoot a guy with too much pen, the shell will go straight through and through, doesn't really do any damage. So if you're shooting a destroyer with your destroyer, your armor-piercing ammo will penetrate him, but it won't do any damage. It'll do a little bit, but not much. If you shoot him with high explosive ammo, you'll probably actually still penetrate, and even if you don't, your high explosive shells will constantly be knocking out the other guy's engines, rudder, torpedoes, guns. Just with a destroyer, you shoot high explosive at everything. So yeah, that's what the Farragut's got for gun armament. For anti-aircraft armament, for a destroyer, she does okay. She's got 5 of these single 20mm Oerlikon guns that you can see right here. She's got 2 twin 40mm Bofors guns right here. And she has her main battery, the 127mm, the 5-inch 38, the main guns. Please, okay, exit that zoom in view. Maneuverability, Farragut's pretty fast. She can do 36.5 knots roughly. She shifts her rudder really quick and has a pretty small turning circle. Now, on to the bad things about the Farragut. Now, the reason why the Farragut is bad is this value right here and this value right here. Now, destroyer torpedoing is pretty simple. There's basically 3 ways you can do it. There's what we call stealth torping, there's ambush torping, and then there's running at a guy screaming until you're within torpedo range and shooting off your torps. With stealth torping, your surface detectability range has to be lower than your torpedo range. So you want a surface detectability value to be less than the maximum range of your torpedoes. The spotting in World of Warships is way different than in World of Tanks. In a nutshell, what happens is each ship has a detection range, and when it gets within that range of another ship, it's detected. Boom, period. My view range basically doesn't do anything. Well, it does, but it doesn't do that much. It's not like in World of Tanks where your view range plus the camo value plus the whether or not Serb farted in your general direction. It's a lot different. In World of Warships, if your ship will be spotted at 7.6 kilometers away, if you get within 7.6 kilometers of an enemy ship, they see you. Alternatively, basically, if you fire your guns, you're spotted. I think you might even be spotted if there's anybody in a direct line of sight of you, but there's some ranges where if you fire with a destroyer and the enemy's 20 kilometers away, they're probably not going to see you. If your surface detectability range is 7.6 kilometers and you fire at a guy 10 kilometers away, they're going to see you. So, stealth torping. Right, stealth torping. Let's look at the Minikaze for this. The Minikaze is like a stealth torper extraordinaire. The Minikaze's torpedoes have a range of 7 kilometers, and you can actually put torpedoes on that have a range of 10 kilometers. I just don't like them. They go too slow. I like the faster torpedoes. So the Minikaze is really good at stealth torping. especially with the 10-kilometer torpedoes. With the 10-kilometer torpedoes, you have a torpedo range of 10 kilometers, but you don't get detected until you're 5.9 kilometers away from the enemy. So what that means is you can sneak in as close as you want, and as long as you don't get within 5.9 kilometers, they won't even see you coming. So you shoot your torpedoes, and then you drive away. And the enemy have no idea your torpedoes are coming because they didn't see you. And all of a sudden, when there's torpedoes like 1,000 meters away from them, suddenly the enemy just goes, "Oh crap, torpedoes!" And basically you're a lot more likely to score hits doing that, to a point, to like a crucial point. The reason why I like the 7-kilometer torpedoes on the Minakaze is because they're faster. They're a lot faster. They go 68 knots. I don't need 3 more kilometers of range to be able to torpedo people effectively with this thing, and having faster torpedoes makes them way harder to dodge. So that's, stealth torping. With the Minakaze, I'll close to 6.5 kilometers, fire off my torpedoes, and then run. The enemy never sees me, and I'm within torpedo range. You can't do that with the Farragut. The Farragut gets spotted at 7.6 kilometers away, and its torpedoes only have a range of 5.5 kilometers. So you have to close 2.1 kilometers of just open ground, spotted and under fire, to be able to torpedo people with this thing. Next, the torpedoes don't do that much damage. They only do 11,600 maximum. Similar to the way HE works in World of Tanks, thickness of armor, protection against torpedoes, it is modeled in this game. So if I were to torpedo my own New Mexico class battleship with a torpedo from my Farragut, it's an 11,600 damage torpedo, right? But the New Mexico is a battleship. It's protected against torpedoes. In fact, it has increased torpedo defenses. So that's good, right? It's good for the battleship. It's not good for the Farragut. It means that I probably will only do something like 6,000 or 7,000 damage with my torpedoes. Maybe I'll get lucky and I'll do as high as 9,000. But that's not that much. I will say a couple of good things in the favor of the Farragut's torpedoes. They reload pretty quick, 87-second reload time. That's pretty quick. And they're fairly fast torpedoes at 65 knots. So it's not all bad. It's just that this range of detectability and this range of torpedo makes it very, very hard to get close enough to torpedo people. Because of that, you can't stealth torp. You have to use the other two methods. Ideally, you use the ambush method. The ambush method is when you use something like an island or a smokescreen to obscure you from view until the enemy is too close to be able to avoid your torpedoes. Then they run out around the corner and you torpedo the crap out of them. And if you want to see an amazing example of a hilarious ambush torping, Fontaman's YouTube channel, he has a video called Widespread Panic and Fear. It's like the funniest thing ever. On the topic of the Farragut's torpedoes and ambush torping, I will say the Farragut gets quote-unquote upgraded torpedoes. They do 5,000 more damage. They reload a tiny little bit slower, but their range is even shorter. And I just can't justify putting even shorter range torpedoes on the ship. 5.5 kilometer torpedoes are such a short range torpedo that they're almost impossible to work with. Cutting it down to 4.5, oh man, I've played the Farragut with 4.5 km torpedoes and it is rough. So I keep the stock torpedoes on this thing. Hoo-wee. So guys, that's the Farragut in the garage. I didn't end up really comparing it to the... Oh! There's the third kind of torpedoing. I forgot to say that. The third kind of torpedoing is the kind of torpedoing I usually do the most in the Farragut. And it's basically, you get frustrated because you can't stealth torp and no one's coming into your ambush. So you get irritated and you see a guy and you go, that guy's only 8 kilometers away. He's fat and slow and fighting some other guy. I'm little and fast. He probably won't even notice me. And then you charge around the corner straight at him like a madman. Kind of like when Han Solo chases those stormtroopers on the Death Star in Star Wars Episode 4. You basically just come around the corner screaming, "Ah!" And you run at the enemy waving your arms and hope that they don't turn around and kill you while you do this. You close the range to like 4 kilometers. You blast off all your torpedoes. You pray to God that some of them hit. You throw the rudder hard over to either direction, and then you run away and hope to not be killed. That's the kind of torpedoing I do in the Farragut the most, because I get frustrated trying to stealth torp, or trying to ambush torp, and having it fail. So that's always nice. So I do a lot of that third kind of torpedoing in the ship. But anyway, guys, we've been 15 minutes in the garage. That's longer than I want. You know, if you guys have been here for my World of Tanks, you know I say I'll be in the garage for like 5 minutes. I end up being in it for 10. So I kind of apologize for that, but I talk a lot. So guys, anyway, on to the gameplay. This was a ridiculous game in the Farragut. It was really, really fun. I do not have that much fun playing this ship most of the time, but holy crap, man, that was just a baller status battle. It was hilarious. So I'm gonna queue up that replay now, and I hope you guys enjoyed this just crazy match in the Tier 6 Farragut class destroyer. Alright guys, so we are loading into battle in the Tier 6 Farragut class destroyer. As you can see, I'm in a division that's World of Warships for platoon with Blackjack Pershing. Take a quick look at the teams here. Blackjack is in his Cleveland class light cruiser. And a quick analysis on the team composition. In destroyers, the enemy team and our team are fairly even. We've got my Farragut, a Mutsuki, which is the Tier 6 Japanese destroyer, and a Minakaze. The enemy team have 2 Mutsukis and an Isakaze. That's a fairly even matchup. On cruisers, our team, I would rank a little bit higher than theirs. We have 2 Tier 6 Clevelands. They have 1 Cleveland and 1 Aoba. The Aoba is a decent ship, but I would prefer to have a second Cleveland. And they have 3 Tier 4 Phoenixes, and the Phoenix is a good ship, but we have 1 Phoenix and 2 Tier 5 cruisers, so I would prefer to have our team of cruisers. Battleships, our team's got a distinct advantage. Both teams have a Tier 6, a Tier 5, and a Tier 4 battleship, but we have an additional Tier 6 battleship. And to counter that, the enemy team has a Tier 6 carrier, which is a huge advantage for them. An unopposed Japanese carrier is incredibly dangerous. Wargaming are actually patching that out. No longer will there be carriers on one team and no carriers on the other. From as soon as the next patch for this game drops, the carrier battles, or the carrier matchups, will always be even number and even tier. So clap hands for Wargaming, and I mean that, clap hands for Wargaming. It took them about 2 years to do a similar thing with artillery, and they're doing it with carriers something like 2 months into what is essentially the early access. So good job on you, Wargaming, for that. That's a really good change. Right, so what am I thinking here in my Farragut? What I'm thinking is, on this map is called Two Brothers. If I come down to this area of the map, there's a lot of islands and a lot of hardcover that I can use to basically stealthily approach the enemy. I can approach them without them being able to see me because of the solid cover of this massive island. So the idea here is I want to be able to do ambush torpedo, and that's going to be my plan. Now you can see, let's see if this pauses the replay. It does not. Now you can see down here, this indicates that my anti-aircraft guns have been turned off. You press P to do that. It prevents your anti-aircraft guns from firing when you don't want them to, revealing your position. Now you can see I have been detected. We have many enemies close to my torpedo range, but not actually in it. But something is really close to me. I'm trying to target this cruiser for my torpedoes, because if I can get him targeted, you get a target lead indicator. I'm actually locked onto the wrong guy, but I didn't notice at the time. I fire away my torpedoes, and I turn to run. As I run, I get set on fire. I use my damage control to put the fire out. I use my smoke screen to cover myself, and I use my speed boost to get out faster. Now, I am shooting at the enemy, which gives away my position. It's a bold move, but I know those torpedoes probably aren't going to do anything. I apologize for the stuttery replay quality. There's not really anything I can do about it. Wow, that's incredibly stuttery. The reason why I'm shooting here, even though it's honestly not a very good idea, is because I know none of my torpedoes were going to hit anything, and I want to get some gunshots in to make sure that at least if I die now, I accomplished something. I've had a lot of games in the Farragut where I literally am killed without doing anything. So, I mean, I'd basically already gotten myself, I won't say I'd gotten myself safe, but I'd gotten myself to a period of relative safety where I figured there were enough other targets around and there was enough smoke obscuring the battlefield and I was close enough to solid cover that I could risk firing my guns. Now, I did get spotted by some aircraft, and I've actually turned my AA back on to try and shoot at these dive bombers. There's no real downside to being spotted right now, so I'm allowing my anti-aircraft to shoot these dive bombers. You can see destroyer anti-aircraft is not very effective. We haven't managed to kill a single plane. So I turned my AA back off, and I prepared around the corner again. Now this time, my target is going to be this New Mexico class battleship. I fired away my torpedoes at him. I wonder if I can track my torpedoes in this view. No, I don't think I can. Now I'm shooting at this destroyer because American destroyers, one of the things they're really, really good at is killing other destroyers with their guns. Especially Japanese destroyers. The Japanese destroyers are very fast and maneuverable, but their guns don't turn very well. So the American destroyers, they have the agility to keep pace with a Japanese destroyer, but they have the rapid turning guns. Think of World of Tanks. The M18 Hellcat is very fast, but it turns its turret very slowly, so you can't use it to like close range brawl. The Japanese destroyer guns, a lot of them are like that. You have to choose between taking evasive action or firing your guns. Well, American destroyers, you can take evasive action and fire your guns. Whew, well, a lot just happened there. I got a lot of good gun hits in on that enemy destroyer. I've got torpedoes coming at me, and I managed to put 3 of my torpedoes into the enemy New Mexico. I've been getting a lot of good shooting done, but it's time for me to withdraw. I'm under fire from quite a few ships. I just had my engine knocked out, immediately used the damage control to repair that, and I'm just running away. Now we're going to take a few more pot shots at this battleship over here. I believe that's a Congo class. That is. Shooting a few times at that Congo, just trying to harass. American destroyers, a huge part of their role is harassment. Just be annoying. That's pretty much all I'm trying to do right now. I'm just driving around these islands, trying to be annoying. I'm trying to stick to close to areas where I can quickly get myself behind solid cover, and then appear from a different place, shooting, torpedoing, just generally being a pain in the balls. Like, that's my goal in a ship like this, to just make myself the biggest pain I can possibly be. So, I mean, there's a ton of people over here, everyone's attention's all split up. I can poke out from behind some of these islands and throw high explosive shells at battleships. Now granted, each one of these hits, not doing very much damage, 200, 300, 400 damage maybe, but there's a chance I can set guys on fire, there's a chance I can knock out some of their secondary guns or AA guns or whatever. Any little, every little bit helps, right? So I'm just driving around, basically being a troll. Now right here, I'm not paying attention, and I crash right into this friendly New Mexico. But he's also being really dumb, sitting perfectly still in a battleship, so I don't feel too bad. I don't feel too bad about that. Accidentally being a bit of a jerk to him. You can see some enemies over there having a collision as well. Now again, I turned my AA on right here. This battleship is coming under a dive bomber attack. I thought the dive bombers were going to attack me, so I turned my AA on for a little bit to try and give that battleship a little bit of anti-aircraft help. But as you can see, I haven't shot down any planes, so it's not really doing a lot. Now that battleship's sitting perfectly still. He's probably about to die. Okay, he's kicked the speed up a little bit, but he's now coming under attack by torpedo planes. If that carrier driver knows his stuff, that's a dead battleship. Now right here, I was thinking about trying to drive into close range with that New Mexico and torpedo him, but I wasn't sure if I'd be able to do it. I actually used my smoke screen to try and help conceal myself, get myself in a little bit closer. And I've used my speed, whatever the heck it's called, engine boost. I've used my engine boost to try and close the distance faster. Basically, I'm going to try and get to within about 5 kilometers of this guy and shoot my torpedoes. I'm trying to use this island to give me as much cover from these guys as I possibly can, but still maneuver so that my torpedoes aren't going to hit the island and explode. So I fire my torpedoes. The enemy can see me. They know I'm right here. There's no harm in shooting. So, I engage this Phoenix-class cruiser with my guns as I withdraw. Now, that New Mexico that I was shooting at, he's taking a lot of damage, and he is taking action to avoid my torpedoes. I'm pretty sure they're all going to miss. They ran out of range just before hitting him, and that is why when I play ships with short-range torpedoes, I try to get a lot closer than I actually need to launch my torps. In case they turn away, they can't just outrun the distance. Now, this battleship is on such low health, but that island is between us, but I can fire my guns at a high enough angle to fire them over the top of the island, and even though I can't see him, I keep firing at where he was, and I actually managed to hit him unspotted over an island and finish him off with my guns. That was a pretty awesome kill, and I'm pretty sure I gloat about it in chat a little bit here. Yeah, over the mountain blind battleship gun kill for the win. That was awesome. So if you look at the results of this battle, our team has done really, really good over here. Blackjack unfortunately died fairly early on. The enemy Congo class hit him very hard. But other than Blackjack, we've lost one destroyer who did a stupid YOLO run, and that New Mexico class battleship who was playing like an idiot, who I'm almost certain was killed by the carrier. So I'm really not too surprised that he died. But our team's done really, really well, and we still have 2 destroyers, 2 cruisers, and a battleship over here kind of pushing on this side. And on the other side of the map, we have 2 battleships and 2 cruisers that have just basically come through uncontested and are now capturing the enemy's base. So all of these enemy cruisers are like retreating and stuff, trying to defend their flag. And I decide that I want to provide some harassment to this Aoba class heavy cruiser over there. So I'm just going to use my guns. He's too far away for torpedoes. I'm just going to spam fire at him with my high explosive ammo as much as possible. And you can see he's taking the full brunt of everything in the cap circle, and also I'm shooting at him too. So, he's not in a good spot here. And I realize that over on my left here, there's this Phoenix. This cruiser is, sorry for the weird camera. This cruiser is pretty close to me. He's actually within my torpedo range. So I fire off my torpedoes on like a wing and a prayer, hoping maybe he won't avoid them and I'll get a torpedo kill, or at least a torpedo hit. And in the meantime, again, since my position is well known to all enemies, I begin firing my guns. Now the cruiser turns away, so I don't get any torpedo hits on him, but I do get a lot of gun hits on him. So I guess I'll take that for what it's worth. And then of course we have this cruiser right here, another Phoenix class. He's on pretty low health, only about 8,000, and he's under fire from those 2 cruisers and those 2 battleships. So I decide again, I just want to add my harassment, add my pain in the ass factor to our team's fire, and see if I can take this cruiser down, or at least help kill him. You can see he's on very low health now, just 900 health. I apologize for the stuttery replay. And right here, we put the finishing shots into him, taking out that Phoenix class light cruiser. Now the enemy Phoenix has just put a big hit onto me. He's actually damaged my steering, which is pretty bad. But my damage repair ability came off cooldown right then, and I used the damage repair ability to fix my steering. And right here, I'm actually trying to maneuver in amongst these islands to get close enough to this battleship to fire torpedoes at him. But that enemy destroyer who just popped up right there, he has other plans for me. So I see the destroyer about to come around this corner, and I angle my bow towards him. Give me a good chance to dodge his torpedoes. And while I've got a couple of chances, I'm slinging some shells at that Phoenix over there. Now, I see the first spread of torpedoes from that guy. I think he's fired all of his torps, and I turn to get all my guns, but I turn right into his torpedoes. Basically, I fire mine off in desperation at point-blank range. And I may be dead, but I took him down with me. The desperation torpedo shot, taking out the enemy Mutsuki Tier 6 destroyer, finishing off my battle with 94 shell hits. Let's see here. 94 shell hits, 9 critical hits, 4 torpedo hits, 3 floods caused by torpedoes, 2 fires set by high explosive shells, 3 kills, as well as the reward, or the medal. It's just a flesh wound for destroying an enemy ship after your ship has been destroyed, and the devastating strike medal for destroying a ship with a single salvo of artillery or torpedoes, causing damage over 50% of the destroyed ship's health. So, not a bad little battle for the Farragut. And to top it off, we won! And to tippy top it off, this was a 2 times experience for the first win of the day. In World of Warships, you normally only get 50%, or 100, wow, my brain is failing me. In World of Warships, you normally get 1.5 times experience for the first win of the day, not 2 times. But you gain a lot of XP in this game anyway, so it doesn't really matter to me that much. But guys, that was a really, really awesome win. So let's take a look at some post-battle results. And you can also see my sweet background. That was the wrong button. That's the button we want. So yeah, we'll take a look at some post-battle results, and you can also check out this pimp background. This is one of those wargaming things, you know, it's one of those wargaming ones, but that's a Bismarck-class battleship. Oh, be still my beating heart. So much glorious. Right, so let's take a look at post-battle results. Now, here we go. Like I said, there's no like replay site or anything for this game, so we're just gonna use some screenshots. So for my 2 times experience for the first one of the day, I got 6,120, which is pretty good. 806 free experience, 293,037 credits. Now for a win like this, especially a win where I, made a decent contribution, that's pretty standard actually. The experience gain is a little high because of the 2 times instead of the 1.5 times. I would have expected that to be like somewhere from 4,000 to 5,000 experience, but 6,000 I'm not going to refuse. I completed some sort of mission. I have no idea what it was. So yeah, check it out. 3 kills, top in the match, top experience on the team. This is the unmodified experience, just like in World of Tanks. So that's pretty BA. 2,040. That's pretty good. We had some good play. Unfortunately, Blackjack had kind of a terrible game. He got hit by this Congo. Almost everything that Congo did in the entire match was 1 shell that hit Blackjack in his engine room and did like 12,000 damage or something, which is about a third of Blackjack's total HP. And right at the same time, he took a torpedo probably from this guy and lost like another 12,000 health. And then everything else just was like, Cleveland, kill it with fire! So Blackjack had a terrible game, but, it happens, right? We did awesome, though. This is the damage breakdown. I fired 212 shots from my main guns, of which I hit 94. And like I said in the garage, or in the port, every single shell I fired was a high explosive shell. So 94 high explosive shell hits. Managed to do 35,172 damage. We also set 2 fires, which burned for another 9,909 damage. So basically, I did about 45,000 gun damage in that battle. That's pretty good for a destroyer with 4 little guns. You know, not bad at all. Pause for sips of coffee. Also, I shot a lot at targets that are very dangerous to me, and or targets that I just don't do that much damage to. I spent a lot of time shooting at light cruisers. Granted, they were only tier 4, but light cruisers are the destroyer killers of World of Warships. A Phoenix class cruiser can kill my Farragut very, very quickly with his guns. And I spent a lot of time gunfighting those guys. Basically, when I wasn't gunfighting Phoenixes, I was harassing fire at battleships, which you gotta score a lot of hits on a battleship with 5-inch high explosive ammo to do much damage. So 45,000 gun damage is pretty freaking good. I managed to fire off 40 torpedoes, which is a lot. Usually in the Farragut, I don't fire that many. That's 5 full spreads of torpedoes. This thing fires 8 torpedoes in a full spread. And of those 40 torpedoes, I actually hit with 4, which may sound pretty crappy, but for me playing the Farragut, that's pretty good. 4 torpedo hits. And like I said, they really don't do that much damage. 27,978 damage. Now, one of those torpedoes was to this Mutsuki, and it did like 90% of his health or something. He went almost full health to 0 from that one torpedo. But those 3 torpedoes that I hit on that New Mexico class battleship, those torpedoes probably did 12,000 damage, maybe, like 15,000 damage, maybe. I'll call it. Wow, my math is terrible. Mutsuki's got about 11,000 health, so roughly 15,000 damage from 3 torpedo hits to a battleship, where those 3 torpedoes should nominally have done about 35,000 damage. So that shows you how much damage reduction battleship armor and torpedo defenses really has. I hit him with about 35,000 damage worth of torpedoes, and only did ballparking 15 to 17,000 damage with those torpedoes. So his torpedo defenses actually work pretty well. Additionally, we managed to do another 2,300 damage worth of flooding, which isn't bad, but it's really not anything special. And here's the reward screen. Managed a 259,000 profit, which is pretty good, and 6,117 experience, which is also pretty good. And I think the reason why I got so much free experience was, if we go back right here, I completed a daily mission, and I'm pretty sure it was one that gave me like 500 free experience or something like that. So that was a really awesome battle. Just this kind of performance in the Farragut is really, really awesome. It just shows what you can do with this, and I mean, like, this is not even a good destroyer. I think the Farragut is probably, in my opinion, the worst destroyer I've ever played. Maybe the second worst. Like, tier for tier, the Sims is not great either. But like, if you can make your guns work with American destroyers, if you can make your guns work on your American destroyers and just stay alive and just keep up the harassment, you can do some serious work. And then, make use of your torpedoes when you got them, because you have them. But like, when you're playing American destroyers, just kind of remember, your guns are your primary weapon and your torpedoes are your secondary weapon. When you're playing a Japanese destroyer, your torpedoes are your primary weapon, your guns are your secondary weapon. And when you're playing the Gremyashki, everything is your primary weapon, because strong Soviet boat. So guys, I hope you enjoyed this battle in the Farragut. I had an absolute blast playing this battle. It was fast-paced. It was just a crazy melee of like 3/4 of the ships in the battle just having at each other on one tiny portion of the map for like 10 minutes. It was really fun. It was just like a fast-paced, high-speed fight, and I had a really, really good time playing it. And not only that, but I got some pretty good results out of it, so I really enjoyed that one. Guys, I hope you enjoyed this look at World of Warships, the Farragut class destroyer. Stay tuned for the New Mexico class battleship. I've got a replay of that coming right up. And I think, since my first video of World of Warships is going to be an American destroyer, I think I'll try to get some good gameplay footage in some Japanese destroyers and kind of juxtapose them so that you guys can sort of see the difference in playstyle. So guys, I hope you enjoyed this. I definitely did. Feel free to like and subscribe, leave comments, whatever. And just remember, guys, you can never have enough big guns.